Hello, it's July 7th, 2017, and you're watching Life Talk. I'm Mark Crutcher.
And I'm Renee Hobbs. Thanks for joining us.
Did you get your name there?
I know. I think I did.
You stumbled over it. We got something really interesting to talk about here in a minute, and this is the situation up in Oregon. But you had something you wanted to bring up to date on a previous story that we did.
Yeah, on a story that we did earlier this week on Charlie Gard in Britain, and we just want to remind everybody to keep praying for him. There's people on the ground taking action to help the parents, so if you'll just keep them in your prayers and for healing, and that they can get baby Charlie here to the United States.
Yeah, remind people what the situation is if they didn't see that show.
Okay, if you didn't see the show, baby Charlie has
some sort of disease.
Some sort of disease that the hospital that he's in says that they cannot help him. There's nothing that they can do for him, and that they want to take the remove the life support, and the parents have gone to court. They're saying that it's a human rights issue and that they are going to keep him there because there's nothing anybody can do for him. When the United States, the doctors here have agreed to allow him to come to do experimental treatment, and so that's the issue that's going on. There's a lot in the news regarding Charlie, if y'all want more information.
So basically, you've got a child that's got a serious problem. They're not going to treat him. They're going to basically kill him. This is a Terry Schiavo type of situation again.
Yes.
They're going to kill this baby. You've got doctors in America who say we might be able to help him.
Right.
They're willing to bring him here. Mm-hmm. The parents want the child to be brought here, and the British government is saying, no, you can't.
Right.
And they're saying that you got to let this child die. This is an outrageous situation.
And the Vatican and President Trump, everybody's speaking out on behalf of him, but anyways, there's a little bit of controversy with the Vatican also because they should have done something from the very beginning, and nothing's been done until now. So. Right.
Well, anyway, it's also interesting, I think, that, and I'd like to think we had something to do with it, because one of the recommendations we gave on here when we covered the story originally is that they should start contacting the British Embassy, and apparently there are people doing that.
They are protesting at the British Embassy. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, we need to keep. We'll be watching that issue, but this little baby's life hangs in the balance, and it just shows what legalized abortion does to the conscience of the medical community. Mm-hmm. That you can find people who will honestly say, okay, yeah, these people say they can help. They're willing to pay to have him taken, but we're not going to let him. We're just going to.
And that's the thing is that the parents raised $1.6 million to take care of all expenses and. Yet he's still in the hospital, and dying. They are dying.
Not dying, being killed.
Yeah.
There is a distinction between dying and being killed. But anyway, Oregon now has passed a law, and Oregon, of course, is one of the most radically pro-abortion states in the Union, as we all know, has passed a law requiring any insurance company that operates in the state to pay for elective abortion, and also the state under their Obamacare system must also pay for elective abortions.
When originally Obamacare was not supposed to pay for abortions.
We're going to deal with that in a minute.
Okay.
I mean, these people ought to be in prison for the lies they told there.
Yes.
Including Barack Obama. They're even including in this Oregon bill people who are not residents of the United States. People who are here illegally even will be able to get free abortions.
Free abortions. Yep.
And are they trying to make Oregon like a mecca for abortion?
I think they are. I think that they are trying to use them as a poster child so everybody else in the United States will follow along.
Right. Well, so what happens, Renee, if, let's say, somebody in Iowa decides we're not going to pay for elective abortion, then somebody in Iowa says, I want a free abortion. Did they just go up to Oregon and say, hey, I'm here like a illegal alien? And
right, just drive, and if they're paying for them, then they can pay for Iowa, they can pay for Texas, they can pay for anybody.
Whoever. Right. Yep. I mean, this is an utter outrage. And, you know, we keep on hearing the pro-aborts talk about that this is not really about abortion, this is about choice. What about your choice and my choice not to pay for something we know to be the murder of a human being?
Yeah, this is taxpayer funded, and we have no choice. We have no say-so in the matter.
No say-so in the matter.
And not just that, the people that live in Oregon, they aren't going to go and have a first trimester abortion. They may wait until the second. They could wait until the third. I mean,
Yeah.
they're going to have more and more abortion clinics open up because of the taxpayer funding that they're receiving.
Well, there's an old statement in politics, Renee. If you want more of something, you subsidize it. If you want less of something, you tax it.
Yeah.
And that's what this is.
That's
You're
what
going to
they're
get
doing.
more of this because you're subsidizing it. But let's make sure people understand too. This is all part of Obamacare, the Obamacare strategy that started when Obama started pushing this idea of socialized medicine. And let's make sure people understand something here. First off, if you look at, we all know Obamacare is collapsing. I mean, and
There are some states that aren't even holding, that have insurance companies, period.
Period.
Blue
And more
Cross,
on the way.
Aetna, yeah.
right, that have pulled out of the state.
Yeah.
And you know, we don't need to get into the details, but you know the obscenity of what's happened to, we buy health care for the employees like you and me. Well, I'm not, because I'm old now and half dead, worn out, one foot in the grave with another banana peel. So
You know, I say
I'm on Medicare.
people are not allowed to say that about my parents. They're not allowed to say that about you,
Well, sure
including yourself.
I'm allowed to say that. But anyway, all that aside, we buy health insurance and have since the day we opened Life Dynamics for all the employees and their families. That's been our policy since day one. And as you have seen, because you watch the books here, our costs have exploded.
Has it tripled?
More than that.
It's
Yeah.
it's gone way up.
It's obscene
Yeah.
what has happened to the cost of health care. Obamacare is collapsing in front of our faces. And I'm sick and tired of hearing people say that Obamacare is failing. Obamacare is not failing. Obamacare is doing exactly what it was designed to do.
Right.
Because if you went back to the days when this was being debated and you looked at Obamacare, if you've got more than about a third grade education in math, then you knew this thing could not possibly work. There's no way it could work the way they have got it.
You're talking about the single payer system, aren't
Well,
you?
that's what they're headed towards.
Yeah.
That's what this thing was all about all along. What we have to understand is that Barack Obama and the Obamanistas and all the people that he brought in, these people are godless Marxists. That's what they are. We can sugarcoat it, and I can have people that, I'll even have pro-life people that object to us using these type of terms. But that's what we're talking about. Barack Obama is a godless Marxist. These people, Nancy Pelosi is a godless Marxist. Nancy Pelosi has even said in public interviews that her goal is to have a single-payer system. Obama was brought in my view, it's like a drug. It's like when a pimp wants to get some 15-year-old girl hooked on drugs so he can put her out on the streets. That's what Obamacare was. Obamacare was brought in. They knew for a fact it would fail. They knew it would fail. They wanted it to fail. But what happened was they brought it in. They get a lot of people dependent upon it. Millions of people now dependent upon Obamacare. And then you take it away from them, right? And so they can blame the taking it away on the Republicans and Trump and so forth.
The conservatives, yeah.
And now you've got 11, 12 million people right here saying, oh, my Lord, we're going to be without any kind of health care. It's a drug at this point. And the solution to the drug, in this case, is the single-payer system. Make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, that is what this is about. It was designed to fail. It was intended to fail. They wanted it to fail because they are godless Marxists. They wanted us to go to a single-payer system. And let me tell you something. If you think that health care is expensive now, wait till it's free. When it's free, it will be really, really expensive. But that's what their goal is. And like I said, they're like, I watched this show, I've talked to you about it before years ago. I watched this show on teenage prostitution in California. And they were interviewing this guy that was a pimp. And he would hang out at the bus stations and he'd see these kids that are coming to California to be actresses or do something in California. And he'd watch them, and he'd befriend them, and then he'd get them hooked on drugs, and then he'd take the drugs away from them and say, oh, by the way, if you want the drugs, get out there on that street. I need $800 from you today.
And they're desperate.
And they're desperate. They're hooked on the drugs. The Obama administration knew exactly what they were doing. They were willing to get the American people hooked on a government system, and now what they're doing is they're saying, Not only are they hooked on a government system, now that system has failed, and so the only solution to it is a single-payer system.
And this kind of reminds me of what you had written in Siege in your new book, is
Right.
that it could be a government, an entity of the government agency.
Right. It will be. It will be. Listen, there's going to come a time again when we elect another godless, pro-abort Marxist like Barack Obama to be president, because that's what dominates the Democratic Party right now. That they are owned by that group of people.
So that's just the thing, is Trump is trying to undo everything Obama did, and so
They'll come along and undo everything he did.
Yeah.
And so, and
Just
I
have
wrote
to
in
pray
Siege.
for the nation.
Yes, I wrote in Siege, what you're referring to, is that, and I think this would be happening right now had Hillary Clinton won. I said in the book that it would. Their goal is to make Planned Parenthood an agency of the federal government. They're going to bring it in as, I said, I could give it a name, the United States Department of Pregnancy and Women's Health or something like that. So they change the name of Planned Parenthood and they bring it in as a cabinet-level agency of the federal government. That's what's on the agenda here. That's what's in the plan for the future. So that's what this is all about. And when you have Obamacare is in the process of collapsing, which it was intended and designed to do, they're going to fight tooth and nail against any kind of change to that
Right.
that would take us back toward a purely capitalist system.
Yeah.
And
I want to read what Jeffrey has said on here. Politicians on the right and the left have always known about Obamacare's true intent. That is one reason why legislators exempt themselves on their staffs from participating in it.
that's exactly right. That's exactly
Yeah.
right. And I heard somebody the other day say, in an article in the Dallas paper, op-ed piece, say, why don't these congressmen vote to give every American the same health care that they've got?
Because they're not going to do that.
Because they're not going to do that.
Heavens no.
They're not going to do that. And this thing is a scam, and the Republicans are as guilty and as responsible for this as the Democrats are. And I don't see them holding the line on this. The Democrats are going to make this battle so unpleasant, and they're going to cost so many Republicans their jobs, and so many Republicans are going to see that this might cost them their job, that when the single-payer thing is thrown out there, and it's starting to be thrown out there already, Bernie Sanders has said the only solution to this is a single-payer system. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case 10 years ago. But it is the case now.
Well,
Obama made sure that was the case.
The left has already made things unbearable,
Right.
and
it's getting worse.
and it is getting worse.
And what we have to do, Renee, and what we need to make sure our audience understands, we got to fight. We got to fight these people. And I am really getting discouraged sometimes when I hear all these people talk about we need to return civility to American politics. And they'll say we need to quit demonizing people on the other side and quit thinking that they're evil. Let me tell you something. The people that did this, Barack Obama and all his henchmen, the Chuck Schumers and the Nancy Pelosi's of the world, all of these people, I don't care what anybody says, they are pure evil. They did an evil thing here. They knew what they were doing when they did it, and it's working just like they planned. And I don't see how over the long haul we can reverse this. We have to fight. We have to fight tooth and nail. And maybe there is a way. I don't think you and I can reverse it. I don't think any human out here can reverse it. I think if we're dedicated and we fight like God wants us to fight, He'll reverse it. This is not beyond God's power to reverse. But let's make sure we understand something. These people are pathologically evil. And, we can sugarcoat it all we want to, but we cannot ignore that fact. This is evil. This is what was done here. They knew what was going to happen. They designed it. It's working just like they planned. Where am I wrong?
You're not wrong. I mean, God has the power to soften hearts and harden hearts, and so we just pray for their conversion always. So.
Right. But in the meantime, we have to recognize what's going on here. We have to recognize it for what it is.
Well, I hope if lawsuits aren't brought against this Oregon abortion funding bill, which I really hope and pray that we fight,
Right.
but if not, and it does pass, they have stipulations in there that the not RU46, the abortion pill reversal is in there. The counseling for these women that are going in and having not just 1 or 2 or 3 abortions, but multiple abortions. And,
Right.
you know, people need help.
Yes, they do. And now we're seeing.
They need their options to know
You
their
brought
options.
me this article. I haven't had time to go through it. We may be talking about it on another show. We don't have time to get into it right now, but
It'll have to be next week.
yeah, when Amazon is now, there's some theories out there that Amazon now may be getting into the abortion business and delivering
Chemical abortion pills.
chemical abortion pills through Amazon.
Yeah.
And I guess if they get their drone thing going, where they can fly them to you in a heartbeat. So who knows where all this is gonna end up? But I'm just telling you, we need to keep our eyes open and not be so naive and see exactly what's going on here, because it was the naivete of people that were fighting against abortion back in the late 60s and early 70s who thought this would never happen that allowed Roe versus Wade to happen to begin with. And that naivete is deadly, and it's deadly for the unborn child. We can't let this happen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I want to say good morning to Brian or Melissa, to y'all, and Lisa. She said hello too from Grand Rapids, Michigan. So
Good.
Anyways,
So we're getting people watching all over. And again, that reminds me to remind you to make all your friends aware of Life Talk. And we've got some new things planned for the future that are, I think, are really going to be dynamite. We talked the other day about the campus campaign. Now we've got the young lady that was on the show with us
working on that.
working with us on that, and we've
That's
got others.
going to be good.
That's going to be great. And we're going to be on these college
The pro
campuses.
boards aren't going to like it.
Right.
They're going to raise all kinds of ruckus.
Right.
That's okay. Go
That's
for
okay.
it.
Go for it. That's
Yeah.
right.
So if y'all have any suggestions or comments or anything, let me know about it.
Yep.
We can talk about it on the show. We'd love to.
If you have, anything that you want to bring up, Renee is the gargoyle on this stuff. She's the gatekeeper. So let her know, and she'll let me know, and we might be doing a show about it.
And we haven't forgotten about you, Felicia, if you can hear me.
Okay. Anyway, that's it for today. And remember, Life Dynamics is not here to put up a good fight. We're here to win, because winning is how the killing stops. We'll see you next week.
Have a good weekend.